Hello and many thanks for joining us. This is Off the Press on Plus TV Africa, and happy Inauguration Day to all Nigerians. My name is Felicity Ezewuike. Joining me to discuss major headlines on national dailies is a social commentator, Ekene Ezeji. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure, as always.
And should we say Happy Inauguration Day, or?
I'm not sure I want to key into all of this, but maybe in time when we discuss the headlines, you'll get my perspective on it.
All right, we'll get to it. Let's start with, we have a couple of papers, by the way. We have The Punch, we have This Day, we have Vanguard, and of course we have The Nation. When we're done with this, we'll go on a quick break and then we'll come back and take care of sports. But for now, I got Ekene with me. The Punch says, Deputy Chair's call for Oshiomhole's resignation splits APC NWC. It has one rider to that story showing on your screen now. Party badly fractured, losing goodwill under ex-Edo Governor Shoaibu speaking. You find details of that story on page 2 of the paper. And of course, at the top, you see FG negotiating with U.S. others to recover stolen $500 million. AGF Malami speaking. And then make Nigeria glorious again, Can President tells Buhari. We also have Senate approves 69 billion naira subsidy payment for 20 oil marketers. You find details of that on page 51 of the paper. And on the right side of the paper, there's a beautiful picture of the Eagle Square that's showing on your screen with our green, white, green flag. You have Eagle Square, Abuja, in preparation of the president's inauguration for second term in Abuja. There's a whole lot of festivity up there now. Don't attack Yoruba land. Southwest hunters warn criminals. Shetima's Tuwad commits suicide in government house. One too many. Lekki Baptist School owner Laja dies after surgery. We have a couple more. Asset declaration. I have no new houses shares, says Buhari. Find details of that on page 29 of the paper. And of course, behind the paper, you have ending into new beginnings. Lekon is talking right now. Okay, let's get Ekene in. Which of these headlines just screams at you as the most important today?
Well, let me get the inauguration matter out of the way so we can deal with other issues.
Please do.
I'm not necessarily convinced that we need to be doing a ceremony of sorts. I mean, I was trying to look up countries that have inauguration ceremonies, and apart from America, the UK, Canada, they just get straight into business. And you know, when you look at the situation we're in now as a country where people need to have the confidence, they need to feel more confident in the government, in the executives, that they're there to do business. We don't need more ceremonies. We don't need more packaging. We don't need more posturing. We want people to come and, you know, let me use someone as an example. Sanwo-Olu, you know, on the entry, he immediately launched this tech hub. So he's telling us what he plans to do. And that's the kind of strategy we need to be looking at. If you want to capture people's imagination and drive up that feeling of optimism, then tell us what you're going to do. Don't spend time.
They're saying this inauguration ceremony is going to be really low-key because our Democracy Day has been moved to June 12th. So today we won't have all the pomp and pageantry, but we're going to have some sort of ceremony.
But again, I want to ask, maybe I'm just not in the flavor of the whole ceremony. Why are people having to take time off work? Why do we have to have
a public holiday?
Yeah, do we really need this? You know, can't people just go to work as normal and you do your swearing in? That would be low-key. So I'm not convinced. I really still feel we're still in that mentality of, you know, packaging and pomp and, you know, trying to treat us as if we're children and just sort of, you know, give us sweeteners, so to speak. We want substance now. We've done with all this. So if you want to show us that you mean to do something different, this isn't the way to kick off.
All right, which other headline here? You have Deputy Chair calls for Oshiomhole's resignation, splitting APC National Working Committee. And then this allegation said the party is badly fractured under the ex-Edo State Governor.
Okay, again, you know, some of these headlines seem similar to me in the way they hit me. Why is the deputy chair? Why can't this be done internally? Why do we need to hear about this? This further makes people think we're still back to the same old, you know, me against the politics of self rather than politics of serving the people. Yes, there were statements made about how he felt Oshiomhole's posture wasn't appropriate, but now he's come out openly and apparently it was leaked to the press. This was a private, so to speak, message, and the press somehow got hold of it before, you know, even the ink dried. So we just sort of feel that everybody's getting too savvy with all this media manipulation speculation, and they're not doing the country any good, because right now people are looking for something they can hold on to. You know, most of us know a responsible person when we see one. Yeah, maybe it's the whole media, the public persona that's confusing our leaders. They're not there to be public servants. They're there to be, even though they're called public servants, they're meant to serve us really in private more than they posture in public. But what we get is that people are so comfortable with coming out and telling people what they're doing without actually doing much in the background. So I'm not inspired by what's going on in APC. If they're about to start another infighting, this is really not the way to go.
Okay, I will probably see it on a headline, but I just must make a mention of the fact that the papers this morning are heavy.
Very chunky.
They're heavy. They're
Maybe
chunky.
Inauguration special.
You need to. The Vanguard is almost. I've never seen the papers as heavy as they are this morning. So a lot of advertorial, I think.
Well, I guess maybe they're also playing into the fact that people are at home today.
Exactly.
They have time to read the newspapers.
Yes.
You know, even the radio stations are saying they're going to be giving us an inauguration special. So a lot of money is being spent, whether they like it or not.
Or not. So you really should go grab a copy of the papers today. Any of them, I'm sure you will see something that will make you smile or not. My apologies. All right, we'll take a look at the Vanguard. I'm hoping to see this caption re-echoed somewhere. We'll get to that in a bit. Vanguard has this, a Buhari and a burden of change. There is a picture that is, I don't know if it's on your screen now, but let me just show you here. Buhari and a burden of change. Did you see that? 2023. Okay, there you have it. We also have Nigeria can't be Islamized. That's another one on the front page of the Vanguard. And Igbo presidency, Amechi replies Obi. That's another one. And of course, APC boils again. Resign now, deputy chair tells Oshiomhole. I think that's rephrased from what we have on the Punch newspaper. Our favorite Mr. and Mrs. Katun is here to cheer us up a little. Let's look at the top of the paper to see what is there. Excitement as Ambode hands over to Sanwo-Olu. We also have insecurity. Southwest hunters warn on headsmen attack. Failure in meeting revenue target worries federal government. That's the SEC DG speaking this morning. Infrastructure tops capital allocation with 395 billion naira. That's something for you on the front page. And of course, we have the Apapa Oshodi gridlock. Presidential committee lied. You need to see pictures, see photos on page 8 of the paper. Why is the presidential committee lying? Details it's also on page 39. Just go grab a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. We're going to get the thoughts of Ekene here before we go. Of course, on the back, we have sports captured in here. Why is the paper saying the presidential committee lied? Do you have any idea?
No, I'm just as curious as you are, actually, because I haven't actually read that particular story.
Okay.
It's intriguing for us, so hopefully we'll get to that.
Okay, excitement as Ambode hands over to Sanwo-Olu.
Yes, I mean, again, I have to comment. I know it's early days, but I have to commend Sanwo-Olu because he wouldn't have been my preferred candidate. But seeing as the much I've seen and observed about his preparedness, I feel he's approaching it with slightly a bit more professionalism than most. I did hear from one of the commissioners that during the election period, he bothered to consult with them to find out what were the issues, you know, in their sector, so that he could craft his manifesto around that. And that tells me something that he's thinking. I know you may call it playing to the galleries, but he did mention that he consulted with the younger generation, you know, the youths, before he launched the tech hubs, and that during his election campaign period, it was in that place where he's setting up the hub that he met with the youths, and they helped him come up. So I like that language. It tells me you're consulting, you're engaging with people that your policy affects. You're not just lauding it from the top down.
Well, let's see how he continues. Yes,
exactly.
How he continues. Because sometimes in Nigerian parlance, we have this language we call the initial gra-gra. If you are a Nigerian, you know what I'm talking about.
At least let them even do the initial gra-gra.
Okay, the story on the committee lying is about the gridlock on Oshodi. There was a message, I think a tweet yesterday, about the presidency saying that the road has been cleared. But there is a picture here. I don't know if I can raise it to the camera for you. You will see here there is a picture off the gridlock, returning to the road. That's why I guess they're saying that the presidential committee...
I think it's not entirely true, because I was along that road yesterday, and there are portions of it that actually are Echo Bridge portion.
Okay.
Yes, I do understand from what I read that there are portions that still have the trucks, back to back on those roads. They said there are some issues they're trying to address. I read from one of the parties involved that they've cleared out parks to move those trucks into. I really want to know a bit more about this particular project, because it's one thing to say you've given a directive. It's another thing to say how practical is it? What arrangements have been made to avoid it reoccurring? Because people may just obey for now, but if you haven't taken away the bottlenecks, because the impression you get is that people have formed a kind of toll gate system along that road, and they're benefiting from having those trucks lined up there where they'll levy them intermittently. So if you take away their means of income, so to speak, what are you doing? Are you taking those people out of commission? Are you addressing the real problem? So I suspect that this is just like a surface issue. Maybe this is all for the inauguration as well. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Certainly, but a lot needs to be done on that particular. And you just mentioned Sanwo-Olu being sworn in. He did say he's going to work on that route.
Okay.
Early days yet.
Let's keep our eye on that. Yeah.
All right. We move to this day newspaper now. There are loads of headlines on there as well. Let's see this one. FG slashes JV
bear with me. The burden of.
Which one?
The one you mentioned
Buhari
about
the burden of change.
Yes, because that struck me as well. Okay. I just feel when you consider, some people have had this discussion around what his wife said and what another member of government said about him not surrounding himself with bad advisors. So they seem to be putting the stories together to suggest that, here is this president who is vulnerable to bad advisors, who really we should sort of pity in a sense, because he means to do the right thing, but there are people around him who are not trustworthy. I really do not subscribe to that at all. The buck stops with him. Nobody forced him to run for a second term. So he must have something new to offer.
Okay, I wish we had more time, but of course you can always go to your vendor. The papers are extra rich today, trust me. Go pick a copy for yourself. But before you do that, you need to know what's on the headline to make a choice on which paper to go to. This day has FG slashes JV stake to 40% to boost revenue, directs Finance Ministry to liquidate unencumbered recovered assets, may borrow more to fund deficit. Work, Housing, Transportation and Agric Ministry's top distribution list. That's also on this day newspaper right here on your screen. That's how it looks like in case you would like to go pick up. And then you see at the very top of the paper, Airtel seeks to list on Nigerian Stock Exchange. Something for you there as well. You also have INEC begins consultations on electoral reform in July. Details, I think, on page 10 of the paper for you. That's how the front page looks this morning. Let's see what's here. UNHCR violence forces 20,000 Nigerians into Niger.
Interesting.
You need to go read this one on page 8 of the paper. I certainly will be. And then on the back page, you have ethical dilemma in financial institutions way forward. A quick thought on one headline here so we can move to the nation.
Yes, I mean, the joint venture stake, slashing it suggests at least we're trying to do something pragmatic about the situation we're facing. Essentially, it looks like the government is giving over to its partners, whether ExxonMobil or Chevron or Shell, giving them more. Selling off its own amount. So I'm not an economist, but I would say that at least we're being pragmatic. We're not just holding on to our portion for the sake of holding on to it. We're trying to recover. And I think the issue about INEC's consultation also struck me. I would say good, because a lot of us are less than happy with how the last election ran. They said the issue with it is they were trying to address the do or die. They felt, they didn't like the do or die way people went about that.
The Nation is our last paper for this segment. We'll run through it quickly so we can take sports. Politics threats as Ambode Okorocha are motion leave. Court orders arrest of Kanu Emir's official. If you've been following our news, you would have heard details of that story. 26 die as bandits mob clash in Zamfara State. Still worrisome. Pensioners hold minister captive. The captive is in quote. You find details on page 55 Was he really held captive? Well, you have to read up. Okocha still wanted over tax evasion, a little bit of sports, and then presidency. Buhari has no new bank account houses, no significant changes in Oshiomhole's assets. That's the asset declaration, which was what I was coming to you about earlier that we missed on the Punch. Your quick thought on that, and then we'll see what's on the back.
Well, I'm not sure if that's not a bit of a superficial. Do you just come when you have to do an asset declaration and say nothing new to declare, or are you meant to just submit it all over again, or they're just giving us a summary of
it has been submitted. Okay. Yes, asset declaration.
So that's the essence of it, that nothing new. Well, okay, fine, we'll take it at face value.
All right, you might want to go take a look at Gateway to the Grave, Reality Bites by Olatunji on the back page of the Nation newspaper this morning. And that's where we're going to wrap this segment off the press. We're hoping we've been able to, it's a holiday for most Nigerians, so go grab a copy and just chill over a cup of tea and read some of these headlines. Thank you very much, Ekene, for coming on Off the Press.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, sports will be with us. Good to know you're still with us Off the Press on your television. And joining me now for the sports segment of Off the Press is Samson Oloyede. Glad to have you. Good morning. Let's get right to it. We have like 3 minutes to do this. Complete sports. We have Hannah Cho. I want to score more goals for Eagles. That's on the front page of Complete Sports newspaper. We also have Lukaku edges closer to Inter. That's something for you. Arsenal rival Man United for Munere. Is that how you call that name? Munere. Okay, I was close. Zidane Koi on Mbappe interest. Okay. We also have something here. London arrivals in Europa war. Arsenal seek ends to fruitless set for Euro glory. I'm just going to let you look at these headlines and just tell us which is the screamer for you.
The biggest one is the match for tonight, the Europa League final. London rivals in Europa war. That's between Arsenal and Chelsea. It's the Europa League final. For Arsenal, it's more important because it's another chance at clinching Champions League football for next season. They need to win this to get to the Champions League, and I think Unai Emery, considering his record, at the event itself, will make Arsenal the favourites going into this. And then for Chelsea, it's not looking too good. There was a bust-up yesterday in training session. There was a bust-up between David Luiz, the defender, and Gonzalo Higuain. And reports had it that the coach, Maurizio Sarri, stormed out of training session furiously because of what happened. And it calls the question is man management skills. Two of your players are in that tussling for whatever it is, and you walk out. That's not the way to address issues. And coming on the eve of a very big game like this, it's really worrisome for Chelsea. Let's see how it pans out. I still think Arsenal, considering Unai Emery's record, will be probably the favourites going into this.
Okay, I don't know if we have, I'm told we have less than 50 seconds.
Okay.
Anything on the back page of Vanguard? We have worst Nigeria under-20 team ever, fans slam Flying Eagles. Quick thought.
Well, that's because of the loss to USA yesterday. The performance was shambolic. There has to be a response against Ukraine, who has qualified already. And it's difficult to tell. Even in the African Cup of Nations, they finished fourth. So, to some extent, you probably want to reckon that this is the worst Nigerian under-20 team we've ever seen.
Thank you very much, Samson, for coming in. Of course, we have sports later this morning at 9:30, so you might want to join and get all the latest sports details on that show. Doka will be on it as well. Thanks again for coming on Off the Press. And thank you for watching. My name is Felicity Ezewuike. Wishing you a lovely day.